Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Finance and Administration Committee on Thursday, February 10th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. I am calling this meeting to order. As we gather this morning, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Connie, has roll call been taken?
Through you, Chair to Committee, yes, roll call has been taken.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? I see none. Can I get an adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held on January 13th, 2022, please? Moved by Councillor Rose, seconded by Councillor Hunt. Are there any errors or omissions? I see none. All in favor? Wonderful. And at this time, we have no delegations, so I will turn this over to Mr. Morrow for his departmental report. Take it away, Paul.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. There are 3 items in the departmental report that can be found on page 3. The first item is an information item with respect to our March meeting of County Council, informing members of committee and County Council that we are moving forward with a hybrid type meeting for the March County Council meeting. So we are making provisions for that, very similar to what we did, I believe, back in December. So we will be moving back to in-person meetings starting in March at the County Council meeting. Shall I go to Councillor bylaws, ma'am?
Yeah, unless somebody's got a question about March. Nope. Take it away. Bylaws, please.
Thank you. With your permission, ma'am, I will read the recommendation.
Yes, please.
That the Finance and Administration Committee recommend that County Council adopt the revised bylaw for the remuneration of members of the County of Renfrew effective January 1st, 2020, and further that bylaw 22-21 be repealed. That essentially puts in place the provisions resulting from the budget workshop with the 1.75 increase. So the attached bylaw, you'll see the strikeout in bold attached, and really just has the updated amounts based on the budget approvals we received in January of this year.
You. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Donahue. Comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Donahue, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I note, just bear with me one moment. In the both in the background, in quotation marks, it cites all future council remuneration increases will be consistent with percentage increases, etc. But if I can draw everyone's attention to page 6 of the report, and this is item 2J. The bylaw does provide for the striking of a third-party committee or third-party review, but it makes no provision for incorporating any of the recommendations that third party may bring forward. So I'm not sure that where it states all increases shall be based on a percentage, that would be inconsistent with potentially what may come forward from that review committee. And I'm just wondering between now and at County Council if some wordsmithing can be done to incorporate that provision, accepting for, et cetera, et cetera.
Paul, go ahead.
I see Councillor Donahue's point, but the review is a separate process, and there will be a provision in review as Councillor Donahue has suggested. So outside of that, there is a separate process, and Council is free to amend it once they see the outcome of that process and whether or not they decide to agree to it. So that would be different direction stemming from that. But right now, the present direction we have is to deal with the provision as it's stated in the background as in terms of updating it. But I see them as 2 separate processes, and Council having the authority to make that separate decision once that's revised, Chair.
Thank you. So Councillor Donahue was ahead of his time. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
In follow-up, Madam Chair, I certainly recognize what Mr. Moore was suggesting, but I would submit that if the review committee comes forward with something that is outside of what is contained herein, then it would be in conflict. And in fact, we have a bylaw that states it shall be by a percentage. I would suggest that if council, and I certainly agree with that, the full body, the full council for the county of Renfrew has absolute discretion over those matters that are within its authority. But at the same time, if it is going to perhaps approve something that would be outside of a percentage increase, then essentially I would suggest you would have to be this or a future council would have to either revoke or rescind or amend a bylaw that provides singularly for a percentage increase.
I think that's what Paul was saying, is that once the review is done, then this bylaw would be repealed. Am I correct, Paul?
Thank you, Chair. And that's part of the challenge. Not knowing what council's decision will be on the compensation review for members of council. We don't know if there will be a change. So at that time, once that is in front of council, the whole of council can make that determination as to how they would like to direct staff in terms of either repealing, leaving the bylaw the same, or making additions to it to reflect the changes that would start in 2023.
I think that's appropriate. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Just finally, I would suggest that is perhaps a more Rube Goldberg approach. I think that it was the intent of council, even with respect to the mileage, that essentially we have tied it directly to the Canada Revenue Agency's annual estimation or provision of that number. That if this was simply changed, then the bylaw would not have to be rescinded or repealed, just to give consideration on that quadrannual basis of something other than a percentage increase. It was written right into the bylaw. It doesn't require rescinding or repealing the bylaw. It would simply require adoption of something other than the percentage increase.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Yes, Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. I see this as dealing with the COLA, and then the rate of pay or step is something different. So I'm thinking that it's handled correctly here to deal with COLA. And then if we bring a review, that would be another process that would be brought back to council. Thank you.
Because realistically, the review won't be done anytime very soon, correct, Paul?
We anticipate the review will be done by March, and I'm looking at Jeff. Jeff, are you anticipating that coming in March or April?
Thank you, Paul, and through you, Chair. Yes, we're anticipating March. We expect that report to come from our consulting group, the Gallagher Group. They are in concert also conducting the non-union compensation review. So both reports should be available in March.
Wow, that's way sooner than I thought. Okay. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to belabor, but the language is all future council remuneration increases. Certainly my definition of all would encompass and capture every increase that would be contemplated in the future. So I think that, once again, I think that's inconsistent, but that is the final point that I'll raise.
Hey, is there anything further on this bylaw? Yes, Warden.
Thank you very much, Chair. So on page, I guess it's 5, 2C, it talks about vice chairs only being paid a per diem for a meeting that they chair. I just want to put it out there. A number of people, a number of councillors and myself included have talked about encouraging the chairs to, when you meet prior to your committee meetings with your director and staff, that you include the vice chair in that process, just for continuity and succession planning and knowledge and all the rest of it. Because I think in my opinion, the vice chair is more than just having the name. You have an opportunity to have input. You should have opportunity to have input as well with the chair. So I'm going to throw a wrench in that, is the fact that if we ask a vice chair to, to meet prior to the committee meeting with the director and the staff, and that meeting is usually, I'm going to say, hour and a half, 2 hours long, but they don't get any kind of reimbursement for it. So I'm concerned about that, and Paul's going to answer my question for me. Thank you.
Yes, it appears he is.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the warden. That is exactly the type of conversation I think that should ensue once we get the report from the consultants. And it's those types of changes that I think that would be addressed as part of that conversation. And once we know that we have that council direction, those are the changes we would want to make at that time to the remuneration bylaw. Again, the purpose of today is just addressing the remuneration as it relates to the 1.75 COLA. So again, that's when I think that conversation should occur, ma'am. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, warden.
All right, thank you for that. I did have another question, but I think this falls under the same category. So I'll just wait until we get the report. Thank you.
Yeah, and now that I know that we're getting the report in March, that's a far better timeline. I was anticipating sort of May or June. All right. Yes, Paul, go ahead.
So just I'm looking to Jeff when I say this. So Jeff, we will have a conversation with the Gallagher group, and they will present to council and in committee. I guess one of my questions to this committee would be to, given the nature of the two reports that are being presented, do you want them to go through Finance and Admin Committee, or would you like them just to come to County Council? And I know we've done that in the past with things like the Strategy Corp initiative, where we went straight to County Council with it to save a step. And I'm looking to this committee for your direction on those reports.
I think that it has to be a complete County Council, all 17 of us involved. That's my feeling anyway.
So, sorry, Warden has her hand up, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, Warden.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm just going to agree with you. I don't think that that should be going through a committee to be vetted first. I mean, it impacts all of us. It's a significant decision that we all have to make.
All right. Is there anything else on number 2? And I'm getting a lot of nodding heads, so that's good.
So just for the minute, we have direction then from staff to bring the two reports directly to County Council for their review and consideration.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Secondly, on that same topic, Chair, if I may, and I know it wasn't part of the report, but my question to Jeff then is the first presentation from the Gala Group is merely an overview with a goal that through April and May, we would, once we have the presentation and we get a sense from council as to where we want to go with the reports, then we would formulate revisions to the remuneration bylaw and bringing those back. And our goal essentially is, the direction we have is to have this completed by June of 2022, I believe is what the original direction was. Jeff, is that correct?
Thank you, Paul, and through you, Chair. I think once County Council is in receipt of the report from Gallagher, the presentation has an opportunity to consider the report and ask questions, etc. Really, at the direction of County Council, we can move to make some in-year changes in 2022 if council feels that that's appropriate for whatever reasons, whether that's on the non-union compensation review or on the council compensation review. But certainly, we would also be in a position to make these changes effective, specifically the council review for the next term of council. So the late in the fall of 2022. So really at council's direction, we simply will anticipate bringing the reports forward and provide council all of the information that they need to make these decisions, and the timing of any implementation of any changes in the salary structure, I think really at the discretion of council. But certainly June would be a very reasonable timeline for us to make some implementation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jeff. Is there anything further on number 2? Then I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? So noted. Thank you. All right, number 3.
Thank you, Chair. And number 3 is the award of the Municipal Modernization Fund. If I may, Chair, I will read the recommendation.
Yes, please.
That the Finance and Administration Committee recommend the County Council adopt a bylaw to authorize the warden and the clerk to enter into a transfer payment agreement in the amount of $317,491 with Her Majesty the Queen and Right of Ontario, as represented by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, for the Municipal Modernization Fund Intake 3. So this was a application we had submitted as part of the Municipal Modernization Fund Intake 3 request for submissions. The committee recalls the focus of that submission was the enhancement or moving forward on the outcomes from our digital strategy that Council heard about last month. And, based on that conversation, I think we have some things coming from that digital modernization strategy where we will provide more certainty and clarity to this committee and County Council as to what they will be. But I believe, as what Jeff has indicated, at the end of that presentation, the Perry Group will be providing us with their top 3 or 4 priority initiatives. And we will be bringing back those top 3 priority initiatives, focusing on those to utilize these funds. So I will leave it at that unless Mr. Foss has something else to include. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. No, he's shaking his head no. He's in vacation mode. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Brose, seconded by the warden. Discussion. All in favor? Excellent. All right, the report as a whole. Can I get a mover and seconder to accept Councillor Donahue, Councillor Hunt? Any further discussion? All in favor? Excellent, thank you. All right. And now we'll send it over to Fossey for his departmental report. Go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Finance Committee. Item number 1 on the finance report is really council remuneration. So attached as Appendix 1 is our statement of remuneration and expenses paid to County Council as of December the 31st, 2021, and really just in the report highlighting the fact that we had made a change in our budget cycles for 2021 for our conference attendance, reducing it from $3,900 per attendee to a total budget of $30,000 or $1,875 per counselor. Item number 2, from AMO, we received a letter dated January the 19th from AMO providing details of council remuneration expenses paid to Warden Robinson. And of course, all of those AMO meetings in 2021 were held virtually. However, we are required to bring forward that to your attention once we receive that information. Likewise, item number 3 is a statement that we received on January the 4th from the Renfrew County and District Health Unit, providing an itemized statement of remuneration and expenses for 2021 from members of County Council who were appointed to the Board of Health. Item 4 really just deals with the recent Roma conference and a Roma delegation. Really just pleased to report that we were successful in obtaining a delegation with the Honorable Christine Elliott, Deputy Premier and the Minister of Health at that conference to discuss the municipal role in funding for public health. So Councillor Donahue did an excellent job leading our delegation, as well as Councillor Murphy and myself. We did attach as Appendix 4 our position paper on public health. And I think we were really pleased with the minister's response and willingness to understand our concerns as a municipality and the financial pressures that increasing cost sharing, transferring from the province and moving toward municipalities and what impact that has on our municipal levy and the ability of local payers to pay for public health. And so we did also attach as Appendix 5 a thank you letter signed by Warden Robinson to Minister Elliott, really just thanking them for that opportunity to present our position during that conference. Item 5 is just an update on our final 2022 budget. And at the January 17th session of County Council, we did make some changes to the budgets that were discussed in committees and presented at the budget workshop. So just wanted to make sure that this committee, and of course all of County Council, has an opportunity to have access to the final and adjusted budget documents, and they are available on your intranet site. Item 6, really some good news from our Municipal Benefits Committee with regard to a contribution holiday. And because we're on a refund accounting basis, we essentially pool all of our premiums into an account, like a bank account, and all of the expenses for our various healthcare plans are pulled from that same expense account. And at the end of the contract year, we have a healthy surplus. And so with
Jeff, sorry to interrupt. Your microphone's coming in and out, and I don't know if it's a matter of the proximity of where your mic is versus, so I mean, I don't know if you, just.
Thanks, Paul. I thought it was me.
No, it's not you. He's fading in and out, and it's pretty good, but yeah.
Is that any better? Okay. Sorry about that. I was using just some headphones, so I'll make the switch just to the computer microphone. Back to the Municipal Benefits Committee, item number 6. So we were made aware of the fact that we do have a surplus in our accounts at the end of the year. And based on that, the Municipal Benefits Committee has voted to exercise our option for a premium holiday that will begin for the month of February in 2022. The financial impact for the County of Renfrew, our monthly premiums are roughly $175,000 plus HST. So that would be the premium holiday that we will enjoy in the month of February. Item 7, attached as Appendix 7, is an email dated January the 21st, which is our financial indicator review provided to us by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing on an annual basis. And essentially, it is our financial results using a number of indicators, standard indicators, and our comparison to our peers across the province. And of course, all of our indicators are in fine shape. Once again, they have flagged as a moderate risk our asset consumption ratio. And I would think that most municipalities are doing the very best that they can in revitalizing their asset management plans and reinvesting in their capital assets. And the more that we do that, the higher that ratio can increase. And of course, this committee is well aware of the fact that our 2022 budget includes approximately $30 million of capital investment. So we're doing a really significant job in improving the health of our infrastructure across the County of Renfrew. Item 8 is Provincial Offenses Administration workload for January of 2022 as we compare it to the previous several months. And item 9, of course, is that continuing comment on our backlog because of the number of courts that have been canceled. And of course, by all of the courts that were canceled at the very beginning of the pandemic. You'll see that for the month of January, we had scheduled 6 court sessions and we had 2 of them that were canceled. So a net 4 court days did move ahead. Those are all virtual court days. And our estimates of the months now to clear this backlog sits at 12.5 months. Keeping along with the backlog theme, item number 10 is a letter dated January the 7th and attached as Appendix 8. A letter sent to the Honorable Doug Downey, the Attorney General, from Mayor John Creelman from the town of Mono, as well as from the Mayor of the town of Calgary.
Sorry, Jeff, I'm just going to jump in. You may need to turn off your video just because I think I'm still getting this vibe, this echo from you and few challenges. So maybe give your video turning off a try, and we'll see how that goes.
All right. Just going dark. I'll go back to item number 10 again, then provincial offenses admin backlog. A letter that we received from the town of Mono and the town of Caledon, really just highlighting the unacceptable delays being experienced with Provincial Offences Act cases. And of course, the backlog that those municipalities are also experiencing. Our committee is reminded that in the summer of 2021, County Council directed our warden to send a letter as well to the Honorable Doug Downey, really regarding the significant shortages of the justices of the peace and the resulting backlog, and that particular letter has not been responded to as yet. Item 11 really just deals with the Renfrew County Virtual Triage and Assessment Center. I'm providing this background information for committee, but as of yesterday, we received some really great news that the Ministry of Health understands how important this project is for all residents in the county of Renfrew and how well used this is. So extremely pleased to really just acknowledge all of the efforts that have been made from our counselors, from our warden, and from staff in ensuring that we have another year of funding available for the Renfrew County VTAC system. Of course, we had a number of contract employees who had transferred to us from Arm Prior Regional Health. Their contracts all had a hard end date of March the 31st in connection with our funding announcements. And so it would have been important for us to, from a human resources point of view, to deal with those employees appropriately in accordance with the Standards Act if our funding was not extended. So very pleased to be able to understand that our funding is extended for a year. Perhaps, Chair, with that, I might just pause before we move forward to bylaws.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right. Committee will go back to information item number 1, council remuneration. Number 2, the AMO 2021 statement of remuneration. Number 3, the Board of Health 2021 statement of remuneration. Number 4, the Roma delegation with Minister Elliott. Councillor Sweet.
Yeah, thank you very much. And well done to that delegation that went down there and had a chat with the minister. I'm particularly concerned, though, about some of the contents that I read in there, any future increases to the provincial municipal cost sharing model. That is something that I think we should all be very concerned about. As some would know, I was part of the fiscal review with the province of Ontario, in which we uploaded $2.5 billion off the property tax onto the income tax. That was a huge win for us. And it spoke to many of the things that I'm beginning to see creeping back in to the process. I recall having a long discussion with the then leader of the party in opposition, Tim Hudak, and he indicated that if they regained power, that they would start to reverse some of those decisions that were made by that provincial review. As I said, this was a $2.5 billion upload, and it bothers me to see some of the, and it's contained in the warden's letter, 75-25 to 70-30. The administration is now going to be rolled into this 70-30 split, etc. Just to put it in perspective, and I think we should be very cautious of this and watch it very, very carefully. Way back when the province of Ontario decided on Ontario Works and Long-Term Disability to increase the payments by 2%. At that time, it was an 80-20 split. And that 2%, while merited, I suppose, to all those recipients, was to cost the county of Renfrew $250,000, and we had no say in it. It was simply, that was what it was going to be. We had already passed our budgets, and we had no way of recovering that $250,000. That's how serious this particular situation is, or was back then. There was huge wins there, and I would not like to see all of this being reversed, and particularly as a result of some of the things that happened. For example, at the county, the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund was eliminated by the county for the county. If they start reversing some of these decisions, it's going to be quite costly to the taxpayers of the county of Renfrew. So I think we have to be very cautious and watch this very, very closely as they move through this process. So I think we have to watch it very seriously and very closely. Thanks, Chair.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to perhaps second with the appropriate terminology, Councillor Sweet's comments. I note, and we did discuss it at some length, I know that the public health funding, and that was the delegation with Minister Elliott. Councillor Sweet may recall just a month ago when we reviewed the chart of the enormous variation in the funding requirement for public health that has been delivered unto obligated municipal funders since 1987. Perhaps the most egregious example of that, and I can't remember the year, I want to suggest it was 98, when in fact the full cost of public health was borne by the property taxpayers within every public health unit at the time. But that was a $3.7 million hit on what typically the municipal funding partners have been picking up only 25%. So I certainly recognize what Councillor Sweet is talking about, and not known for timidity. It seems that this is almost sport with the province is adjusting the cost share on a regular basis. If you move the shells around enough, you can lose track of where the ping pong ball is, and certainly that is what it appears to have been, with very little consideration given on how impactful that is to the property tax basis. So I'm certainly going to second, as I said, and commend Councillor Sweet. The other thing I wanted to just to mention as an aside as well, they're in responding to the main remarks in the delegation, Minister Elliott brought forward that if we or any of the municipal funding partners thought that there was an issue with any of the additional COVID funding that was being provided, certainly to work through the public health units and to let the ministry know. And we went to some length to clarify for the minister that it was not a short-term pressure, but it had to be in the capricious approach to funding of public health in Ontario, and the intolerable downloading of that, what sounds like a small thing, moving from 75-25 to 70-30, but in fact is almost $1 million downloaded out of the property tax basis, as opposed to the litany of tax revenues that the province has available to them.
Thank you for that. Anything further on number 4? Yes, Warden.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I just want to acknowledge that I'm quite confident that both yourself and Councillor Donahue made very clear points when you had your delegation with Minister Elliott, and certainly to Councillor Sweet, the cost of public health is something that has not been ignored by the East Ontario Wardens Caucus either. So I think that in the months to come, we've all been busy with COVID, but now we have to start, looking again and making sure that we're advocating and lobbying for that decision, the 70-30, to be reversed. So let's see what the next few months turn out. We'd have been in a problem here had there not been mitigation funding during COVID. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yes, Councillor Sweet.
Yeah, just to let committee know that Provincial Municipal Fiscal Review was a 10-year deal, starting in 2008 and ended in 2018. So I wouldn't say it's open at this point in time, but I think, as I said, it's something that we have to be cautiously looking at to make sure that it's not incrementally 1%, 2%, 5%, and so forth. And that has a huge impact on any funding that we may be trying to achieve for the taxpayers of Renfrew County. It was a huge win. and I would not like to see it completely reversed going forward. So I'm just indicating that we should keep our eye on the ball with this one here. And I'm sure the warden and Jeff Foss is doing that, as the Warden's Caucus would be as well. So it affects everybody.
Certainly does. All right, moving on. Number 5, 2022 final budget. Number 6, the holiday for municipal benefits. Councillor Doncaster.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question on that. Maybe I probably should know the answer to this, but the 3 funds in the summary in Appendix 6, there's 3 funds there. I wanted to know why the town of Deep River, Ontario Highlands, and Laurentian Valley are excluded from one of those funds.
I don't see Jeff. Oh, Jeff's gone dark.
I'm here.
There you are.
And through you, Chair, to Councillor Doncaster, I'll certainly look a little bit farther into the history of it, Councillor Doncaster. But as the Municipal Benefits Committee grew and added more and additional members, we had some members who were opting into various groups and some not joining those particular groups. So I think the surplus positions that are being presented to you on that particular chart are an aggregate, a representation of 3 different accounts, consolidated accounts that we are responsible for as a Municipal Benefits Committee, but not all members are participating in all 3 of those accounts. I think you'll see on the right-hand column, there is a notation about all members are participating in that larger Municipal Benefit Surplus account, but on the other 2, not all members are participating. But I'll get an answer for you on that, Glenn, and let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further on 6? Number 7, the FIR. Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, each year, I think when each of us receive these, there is a caution provided by MMAH. This is just a single piece of the information that is utilized towards forming an appropriate financial basis and sustainability. But I just wanted to note in particular, the sustainability factors. This is on page 54. The sustainability factors have been substantially increasing from the initial year of 2016. When you look at net financial assets, low being greater than -50, and our starting point was 22. The average was 21 versus 2020, where it's now 43 versus an average of 49. So every single one of those 4 sustainability indicators have substantially improved, and equally within the flexibility indicators, certainly as Mr. Foss has noted, the second item, the closing amortization balances, et cetera, while they are the only, perhaps it is a stretch, but the only blemish on an otherwise stellar report is that line item. But even there, you can see that it is continuing to move in a positive direction. Outside of that, the particular item just below that closing amortization, you can see both for hours plus the median plus the average of annual surpluses has substantially changed from 2016. Where across the board it was essentially 10%, and across the board now it's essentially 25%. And those trends have been increasing. I will certainly recognize that change from 2020 over 2019 is substantial. I'm assuming that a great deal of that can probably be attributed to the Safe Restart funding that was carried year over year, but would be recognized, I presume, in 2020. But even setting that aside, those indicators have been improving every single year since 2016.
Anything further on the FIR? Number 8, the POA workload. Number 9, the POA backlog. Number 10, the backlog letter. 11, VTAC. And as Jeff said, even if you wrote this report first thing Monday morning, it would have been wrong by today, which we're very grateful for. Yes, Warden.
Exactly what I was going to say. I'm very grateful that the report is wrong. And again, we did, we did discuss it and announced it publicly yesterday morning at our health committee meeting. But I just want to say here too, how much work everyone has put into this over the past 23 months. When you just sit down and just think about what was created in the midst of a pandemic, and by accident or circumstance, we found a way to assist people who don't have a family doctor at the same time. So it's absolutely an incredible service. And going forward, it is, yes, for one more year. But certainly the intention is that once the provincial election is over, that our first order of business will be to contact the Minister of Health, whoever that may be, to start working on ensuring that we have ongoing funding for VTAC. So again, congratulations to everybody. I know no matter where we are and who we're meeting, the words VTAC end up coming out of our mouths numerous times. So again, thanks for all of your work.
I even slid it into our delegation with Minister Elliott, because I figure, the more you say it gets ingrained. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think also, certainly in picking up on the warden's comments, I think it needs to be stressed in the olden days, in the parallel universe that we once inhabited 2 years ago. What was the driver, more than 2 years ago now, what was the driver of the slogan, if you will, was ending hallway health. And this is absolutely consistent with the two functions of that, which is definitely working towards diminishing the pressures on the acute care or the hospital sector. But the other thing is making it patient-centric, and this is outstanding. The other thing that I wish to add, enormously pleased, of course, that it will continue. We will not be celebrating until such time as, or rather the mission perhaps will not be accomplished until such time as this is made permanent here and to every municipality across the province of Ontario that can utilize this model to the benefit of their citizens. But I'm very pleased in here as well that this has been outstanding commitment by the staff, beginning at Arnprior Regional Hospital, and I believe the Arnprior Family Health Team perhaps also, that has now migrated to the county for the administration. So we are seeing 25 positions probably exhaling in relief as well, that this is going to continue, and we are not confronted with a deadline looming on the horizon.
Well, I have no doubt that our amazing warden will not take her foot off the gas once the provincial election's done, and I'm sure, we'll throw all of our efforts into making this permanent. Yes, Warden.
Thank you very much, Chair. As well, we can't forget about our MPP. I have to tell you, and I mentioned it yesterday too, but it deserves to be repeated, that no matter, what our efforts have been, like last week, I met with Minister Elliott and MPP John Yakubuski, but then I had to sit back and wait as John did his thing behind the scenes. So he has his fingerprints on all of this as well, and he deserves a lot of our thanks and appreciation.
Absolutely. So anything else on 11? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Brose.
I just want to echo what's already been said. I want to thank the warden for being a champion of this Renfrew County VTAC program, as well as the support from all of County Council and all of staff. I know that just in talking to people in the public who have used this service, they can't say enough about it, about the success, about the satisfaction that they receive, about the quick access to answers and support for their health. And it allows them to do it all without having to sit in an emergency department. So, I mean, in parallel as well with our community paramedicine program, this is excellent news. Thank you.
For those comments. Anything further? All right, then we will move on to bylaws. Number 12, please.
Thank you, Chair. Item number 12 is an update on our policy GA01, which is our procurement of goods and services policy. So I do have a recommendation that the Finance Administration Committee recommend that County Council approve the revised policy GA01, procurement of goods and services, and further that a bylaw to amend bylaw 5902, corporate policies and procedures for the County of Renfrew be adopted. Really, some history behind this particular purchasing policy. We endeavored to make some changes to our purchasing policy, which would allow for electronic bidding. And of course, with the pandemic early in 2020, we found incredible difficulties, if you will, with attempting to engage in all of our various tender work without having an ability to deal with electronic bidding, and especially with a system such as electronic bids and tenders as a digital procurement platform. And so we we made some changes at staff level and then reached out to our solicitor, Mr. James McGilvery from Rasmussen Star Ruddy. We asked him to review our changes, and you will note in the bold and strikeout version of this particular policy that Mr. McGilvery was very thorough. Our most recent update of this bylaw was in 2015, so this is 7 years. But just an awful lot of housekeeping items, if you will, some additions to some wording, some clarity, if you will, to the document, which we were very thankful that Mr. McGilvery spent some significant time and assisted us with this project. And so not only do we have our digital procurement additions into the wording, but we've cleaned the document up fairly significantly. And so we bring this forward to this committee for your consideration today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thorough would be the right word. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by the warden, seconded by Councillor Brose. Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. And number 13.
Number 13, similar to the item that was contained in Paul's report, we now have employment bylaw number 1 for our non-union staff. We do have a recommendation, and maybe perhaps I'll just get into the background of this particular section. Really, rates of pay, and at the direction of County Council, we created a budget in 2022 for council approval with a 1.75% COLA increase to non-union wages. And so that was built into our budget. The budget was approved in January, and so now we are bringing the follow-up document for all of the non-union staff for the 2022 period at a 1.75% increase. And of course, that is consistent with the bylaw for remuneration for county council. Item number 2 really deals with our Provincial Offences Administration Court. We had a number of positions in our POA office, and with the retirement of our POA manager late in the fall of 2021 and the hiring of Ashley Wilton as our new POA manager, we had an opportunity really to look at all of the positions in the office to see if there isn't a better way for us to consolidate some of the job descriptions into a single position. And so this obviously provides for great cross-training opportunities. It allows the POA manager to be able to move people around if there's someone's away for a vacation period or for illness, et cetera, that each one of the employees will know each and every one of the jobs within the POA office. Really just gives us incredible flexibility. So we are looking at the job descriptions for the disclosure clerk, the courtroom clerk monitor, the general clerk cashier, and the collections clerk. And we have created a job description. This has been reviewed not only by the POA manager and our HR staff, but by all of the staff that are currently holding these positions within the POA department. And we've created a new job description entitled Court Services Specialist. This job remains at the same group on the salary grid, which is Group 3. So there's no financial changes that are taking place with this proposal, but certainly gives the POA manager incredible flexibility to manage the office on a go-forward basis. Item C is the elimination of the asset management coordinator position. And this committee and the county council would have heard this a number of times during the discussions leading up to the budget workshop. And at the budget workshop itself, there was a business plan to remove this position from our non-union grid. And so that is really just being highlighted as item number C. And then, of course, student wages. And on January the 1st, 2022, the Ontario minimum wage increased to $15 per hour. And so we wanted to ensure that we reflected that in employment bylaw number 1 for our students over 18 at $15 an hour. And then we have a principle, if you will, for providing an hourly rate for those students, high school students that are working for us as summer students who are under 18 years of age. And that calculation is 94% of our student wage, which equates to a $14.10 per hour wage rate. So with that, Madam Chair, maybe I'd go back to the top, and if you will, I can read out the recommendation in its entirety.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Just because you're fading in and out, I think maybe I'll read the recommendation. Is that okay, Paul? Yeah? Yeah,
Absolutely, Chair. Correct. Good.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Just because you were all over the place there. So the recommendation that the Finance and Administration Committee recommends that County Council approve the following changes to Employment Bylaw number 1, effective January 1st, 2022. A, Article 4, rates of pay, 1.75% wage increase for all non-union staff except students as outlined in Schedules A and B. B, removal of the clerk cashier disclosure, courtroom clerk monitor, and general clerk cashier from Schedule A at Group 3 in the salary grid, removal of the collections clerk from Schedule A at Group 4 in the salary grid, and addition of court service specialists in Schedule A at Group 3 in the salary grid. C, removal of the asset management coordinator from Schedule A at Group 7 in the salary grid. And D, change to the student wage from $13.40 to $14.10 for students under 18 and from $14.25 to $15 for students 18 and over as outlined in Schedule B, and further that the revised employment bylaw number 1 be adopted. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Packett. Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder for the report as a whole? Moved by Councillor Brose, seconded by Councillor Packett. Anything further? All in favor? And that report is adopted. Is there any new business? I see none. Is there any requirement for a closed meeting, Paul? Excellent. The date of our next meeting is Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Can I get a mover and seconder to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor Donahue, second by Councillor Hunt. All in favor? Councillor Donahue, I beat you by about 13 minutes today.